Williamson on the beat.
Coming to you live from the Mistopheles Studios, it's Dark Fringe Radio. And thanks for joining in the Dark Fringe Radio. I am your host, Will Martinez, and thanks for joining on the podcast this week. We have a great podcast for you scheduled for this evening, and we have a special guest on the line with us. Her name is Michelle Williamson. She is a paranormal investigator with New Beginnings Paranormal, and we're going to be talking about a case that she was investigating not so long ago out of her home state. And we'll be getting to all that creepiness here in a second. But wanted to get into some of the social media stuff where you can follow us. You can follow all of our information on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. You can just look up Dark Fringe Radio, and you can find all our stuff there. And just make sure to like and subscribe to all our things that you can there as well. Leave a comment, interact with us. That's me usually. That's on the helm with all that. So make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dark Fringe Radio. How to listen to us? It's pretty simple. You can listen to us on iTunes, also Google Play, and also SoundCloud. All you have to do is look up Dark Fringe Radio and just give us a subscribe, a liking there, and leave a comment. And we really appreciate if you could do that. And that's a way to kind of pay us back for the free podcast that we give you guys every week. So make sure to go ahead and please do that. So again, please subscribe, Apple iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Make sure to do that and give us a subscribe back. So if you ever want to send us information, or if you have any information to send us, or if you have an idea for the podcast, you can always send that to us at Dark Fringe Radio. At our email at thedarkfringe@gmail.com. Again, that's thedarkfringe@gmail.com. And you can find all, or please send all that information to us there. I'd really appreciate it. Again, I want to get into our guest for tonight. Her name is Michelle Williamson. She is a paranormal investigator out of New Beginnings Paranormal. And she just recently did a investigation at a residence out there. And kind of wanted to bring her on the podcast and kind of talk to her about some of the evidence that she's captured, a little bit about her background, and some of the things that we have to look forward to her investigating in the future. Again, her name is Michelle Williamson with New Beginnings Paranormal. Please welcome Michelle to Dark Fringe Radio. Michelle, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, listen, give us a little bit of a background on yourself. How long, have you been doing some important, these paranormal investigations and so on and so forth?
Honestly, I've always gone places that have been haunted. I didn't actually get on a team until me and my best friend Stephanie teamed up. Sorry about that. She had, we had met on previous investigations, and we ended up kind of joining together and creating a new team. We've got Stephanie and her husband, Nick. And then we have an investigator in California as well. Her name is Stephanie.
That's awesome.
We got two Stephanies.
So you got two Stephanies. So I'm sure that helps with the confusion a little bit there. But so you guys do investigations all around in your area, correct? And outside your area as well, correct?
Right. Yeah. We do a lot around Washington. We do have a few other things planned. I'm from Portland, Oregon originally. So I originally started doing all of the paranormal stuff down in Portland because there's quite a bit of history there with like the Shanghai tunnels and stuff. So she's gone to Arizona, she's gone to Connecticut. We are planning, I want to go to Salem, Massachusetts. That's one of my definite places I need to go.
Hotspot, definitely, yeah. And yeah, no. And of course, we had Stephanie on our podcast some time ago to talk about, some of the things that she's done with New Beginnings, of course, some of the things that she's done in her personal life as far as, becoming a psychic and a medium and all that stuff, and being able to see certain
Right.
things. And so we wanted to kind of bring you on the podcast because I've been talking to you as of late, and you've been having some pretty significant evidence that's been popping up from some of the investigations that you've done as of recent. Now, I know you just recently did an investigation at a residence in the Washington State area. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Coopville,
In
Coopville,
Coopville.
Washington.
So if you could give me a little bit of background on this particular residence. I don't want to, get into any kind of, specifics as far as names and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Of course, we want to keep all that confidential. But if you could
Private.
give us,
Hmm.
yeah, of course, if you could give us a little bit of information on the, the area itself and the residence, if you could.
Well, most of Washington State was originally native land all through Washington. There's between here and there, I'd say there's probably about a good 20 tribes. And it is right by a Navy base. Her house is down the street from an old jail and a cemetery. Um, it is a newer house. Um, so when we pulled up, I was like, I didn't have any feelings about anything being there. I just kind of wanted to walk through the house first, but they had so much activity going on there. We wanted to make sure that we got in there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me ask you this. So do you normally pick up on a lot of these, these energies before, like, or right when you get to a location? Is that something that you normally pick up on?
Yeah, I do. Both Steph and I. It's funny, we did have quite a bit of anxiety on our way there, and we weren't 100% sure where it was coming from. And then, like I said, when we pulled up to the house, I didn't really sense anything until I walked in.
So it wasn't until you actually walked into the residence and you actually broke that threshold of the front door is when you actually started to feel a lot of these, different feelings and energies. Is that correct?
Right, yeah. We had been told that there was quite a bit of activity in the kitchen. And so Steph and I usually will do a walkthrough. We'll kind of go our own separate ways, follow where we're drawn to. I was drawn to the bottom, I guess it's a den area is where I was originally drawn to. And that's where Stephanie got quite a bit of evidence was from actually in there. I spent most of my time in the kitchen is where I was for most of it just because of what was going on up there.
Wow. Now let me ask you this: do you guys do like any kind of research on the property itself, like prior to getting there? Like I'm sure you know of the general location of wherever it is that you're going to be investigating. Do you guys do any kind of prior investigation of the property itself?
Nick is usually the one to do any investigations on the land because he's really good at finding that type of thing. And he looked and looked and he could not find anything at all.
So nothing with the land at all. So okay, so that's interesting.
Mm-mm.
So what were some of the claims that the people that lived in this residence that they were claiming to experience there?
Um, Shadow figures with long fingers crawling through the hallways, actually between one bedroom and another. Cupboards slamming open and closed, drawers opening and slamming. And when I actually felt the weight of the cupboards, they're solid wood, and they don't have like the roller tracks on them. You have to actually tug on it to get it open. So for it to have that much force, I was a little confused on where that was coming from.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, you said that you were more attracted to the kitchen as far as a hotspot than more than any other place in the house. Can you explain to
Hmm.
me some of the things that you experienced in the kitchen?
Yeah, I actually have some videos of it. A spirit I don't think it was a spirit. I do believe it was a demon. At first I thought it was a spirit. It hid itself very well. I had my protection crystals in my hoodie pocket, so I had those close by. And I was actually scanning the cupboards and the refrigerator and stuff with the K2 meter just to kind of see, because it was really warm in that area more than any other part in the kitchen. And I got a lot of K2 hits off of the cupboards. And then as the demon actually was interacting with me, I asked it to touch me. And as soon as it did, it started draining me. I had to go outside a couple times just to regain my stomach because I felt like I was going to throw up. It was affecting me so badly. And it actually shattered two of my crystals. Well, one was split in 3 pieces and the other one was split in 2.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And of course, you keep these crystals on you to use as a item of protection.
Right.
Do you normally do that in every investigation?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and have you ever had something like this happen before, where your crystals were like actually damaged from a location?
Never. I was actually in shock because I didn't feel it break in my hand, but when we turned on the light, I was looking at my crystals, and I saw all the little shards, and I was like, what the heck? And I started digging through them, and I was like, how did this happen? Because one of them was a raw emerald, and that one was split in half.
So you had a raw emerald, and it actually was just split in half.
Mm-hmm. The raw emerald split in half.
That's crazy. I mean, for emerald to crack in half like that, I mean, you would have to hit it pretty hard against another hard surface.
And it was right about that time where I got the scratches on my leg.
So you were actually scratched as well?
I was, yeah.
Wow. Is that something that normally happens in an investigation, or is that something that is kind of rare?
I've never been scratched like that. It's all still kind of affecting all of us now. Even Steph woke up with bruises. Nick woke up with bruises. It was a tough investigation. The person that lived there, she's been having bloody noses so bad that it looks like somebody turned a faucet on.
Wow. So yeah, let's get into some of that. Let's get into some of the claims that the residents had there. Can you give us the dynamic or the demographic of who lives in the house? Who lives in the house currently at this residence? Is it is it a normal family dynamic of 4 people? What is it like right now?
It's roommates, and they are military. A couple military police.
Okay.
And then the wife. And maybe it's 3. I know for sure there's 3. And then one of the friends is actually over there all the time as well, who is witness to all of this. So there's 4 people right now that it's really affecting.
Got you. And so what are some of the claims? So you said that, I know one of the residents said that she has a runny nose, a bloody nose constantly. What are some of the other things that are happening with them?
Her anxiety, I can tell you, is horrible because I didn't feel it until I stood about 5 feet from her, and it was so bad I had to tell her, I'm going to step away from you for a minute because I can't see past your anxiety. My chest had hurt and everything. It was rough, but she's getting the bloody noses. She's seeing the shadow figures. She called me in the middle of the night one night and told me that it sounded like in one of the bedrooms, it sounded like a body was slammed against the wall.
Wow.
She sent me a video of her running up the stairs playing with the dog, and she had Snapchat open, and on a plain flat wall, the dog filter popped up like it had you know, recognized a face,
Yeah, so
which
I saw that video. You actually had sent that to me when
I,
right after
yeah.
that you investigated that area, and
Hmm.
yeah, that was a very compelling video because just like as you described, the lady is playing with her dog, and then all of a sudden she kind of pans to the left, and it's like kind of like a shot of the stairs, and then all of a sudden you hear like this growling, and then you see the face like no, I'm sorry, uh, the the Snapchat filter like go onto something on the wall, and like there was a
Hmm.
face on the wall, but there was like nothing there. I found that very compelling. That's a pretty crazy video.
Yeah, and it scared her, as you saw at the end of the video. She screamed.
Yeah, yeah, she did. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from that. I was kind of really taken back by that. I actually asked you to send that to me a couple times because I was just kind of like, I had to watch it a few times over and over again just to kind of capture that in my mind. But so, what are some of the other things that they were claiming on that was going on there as well?
Like I said, the cupboards. They're also down in the downstairs bedroom. There's a flag on the wall, and it actually, we tested it. It has hooks on it so that you would have to physically like lift it up and kind of push it towards the wall, and then lift the flag all the way off. And that was actually ripped off of the wall in the
Oh
middle of
wow,
the night.
wow.
Um, Yeah, and the dog is constantly scared, barking, doesn't like going in the kitchen. Um, she's been having horrible nightmares. Like I said, I feel like it's kind of terrorizing her in a way.
So, do you find like that she's like more of the focal point in the nucleus of the people in that house?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's kind of the focal point. Now,
Mhm.
let me ask you this. Is there anybody there in that house that may be triggering this to happen? Like maybe are they doing anything as far as maybe communicating with the dead in a way where they shouldn't be, or um, do they have anything in the house maybe that may be triggering this?
We did ask if they've ever played with any anything that could bring that on, whether it's a spirit board or anything along those lines. We were told that no, that has not been done there. Um, Honestly, I had to tell them, that they need to remain positive, because the more that they remain negative, or continuously talking about it, it's all it's doing is feeding its energy, and it's going to end up getting so bad that they won't know, they won't have a way to stop it. The house was blessed by a Catholic priest the day, I think it was a day or two after we were in there.
So after the blessing took place, has the activity continued after? Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? What's the deal?
It's from what she has said, it's gotten worse. Um, she said that it's gotten worse by the day. Like I said, when we were there that night, I got a phone call. I want to, I don't even remember what time it was. It was late, and she was hysterical. She didn't want to go back in the house. Um, I had her go get her own crystals. I told her to sleep with them, you know, keep them around her neck, make sure to charge and cleanse them. We went over all of that just to try and help, but as you know, stuff like that feeds off of it.
Yeah, you can only do so much,
So
unfortunately.
yeah.
So, in an instance like this, where you know that there is something going on, and the evidence is pretty overwhelming, what do you do to escalate this? I mean, I'm sure that crystals and smudging and um, doing some type of cleansing, it can only go so far. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you guys do to kind of escalate this to, further, try to get this taken care of in a, in a better way?
We did actually reach out to Chris McKinnell, who is a part of the Warren Legacy Foundation, I believe. It's Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson,
Ah,
I
yes.
believe is the relation.
Okay. Okay.
So I actually spoke to him on the phone the next day because he had heard everything that had happened, and I sent him pictures, I sent him videos. We talked a little bit. We did talk about the scratch because he wanted to know how long I had the scratch. He said it was because it was three scratches. He asked me how long it took to go away, and we went over that. And he actually ended up telling me I'm a psychic, because he said psychics will heal scratches quickly. I didn't know 30 minutes to an hour was quick,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
that's pretty quick. If I get a scratch, it lasts for a few days at least. But when you're talking about these scratches and you're talking about the three scratches, that's usually a mockery of the Trinity, and that's why
hmm
you usually see those three scratches, and it usually is a pretty good indicator of some type of demonic activity at a location. So I'm pretty aware of that now. Um, Now, after you've been scratched, and I know that you've have your healing crystals, is there any kind of cleansing that you do after you leave a location after like this?
We did sage even ourselves after leaving there. Um, Chris did actually advise me on my crystals that were broke. He said that I need to bury them far away from any homes or anything because now they've been touched by a demon. And he said that they're no good for me anymore. And so I've actually got to find a good location where, it's not around anybody because I want to be responsible about it. So I currently still have them, but I do need to go have them buried far, far away.
A volcano. How about that?
Yeah, throw them in the ice. I did think about it during a bonfire. I was like, I wonder. But it's
Yeah.
not hot enough.
No, 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 no. Then you have some spirits come out of the bonfire. No, no, you don't need any of that crap.
Nope.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I see these things all the time. I see these investigations, these kind of cases. I've never actually dealt with them myself personally, firsthand. I've always,
hmm
seen these things from the outside, third party, and I am sure that you form a certain bond with these people that you're trying to help, and they call you out of desperation to help them. They're going through a very tough time, whether it's they're not sleeping, they're ill at health,
hmm
something is going on constantly. It's causing them to have some type of anguish or some type of anxiety. Um, do you find that in this particular case that it's one person kind of bringing on this kind of energy to the house?
It's funny because the two men of the house absolutely did not believe in it until we got there.
Gotcha.
We definitely made them change their mind, but I do believe, like I said, the negativity and the stress and then the anxiety and then not sleeping, all of that feeds into it. And it just gives it the energy it needs. And I know with when it touched me and how quickly it drained me and made me sick, I don't know how they're actually living there, to be honest with you.
That's crazy. It's just amazing to me that somebody could live in an area like that where it's just depressed,
Mhm.
spiritually. I mean, when you can actually feel it. I don't claim to be any kind of sensitive or anything like that, but there is something to be said about when you go into a house or a building or whatever the hell it may be, and you just get that overwhelming feeling that's just not right.
Mhm.
There's a lot to be said about that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you have to sometimes kind of follow your gut, because there's a reason why you have those feelings. But In this particular case, I know you talked about some of the evidence that you collected. What kind of instrumentation do you guys use? What do you guys use as far as, um, you know, um, you know, any kind of electronics to capture evidence? What do you guys use?
We have a Connect, um, which maps out anything manifesting in front of you, which is the video that I sent you. You saw it standing next to me, holding my hand, you know. So we have the Connect. We have a grid pen, which I actually missed getting it on video, but we had asked for the grid pen to be dimmed down, and it went down quite a bit. It actually drained the batteries out of almost every piece of equipment that we brought
And that's a normal thing.
immediately.
That's a normal thing that happens with a lot of these, paranormal investigations when the evidence starts to kind of like conjure up and start going. These energies start to kind of pull energy from batteries, from whatever it may be, a camera or a camcorder or a recorder, and things just end up dead.
Yeah, we have an EVP recorder, which the batteries died on. They were brand new batteries. We had the grid pen with brand new batteries, which died immediately after turning it on. We ended up finding new batteries and used that, but it ended up killing the batteries within about 5 minutes. The K2 meter was the only thing that really held battery at all. And then the Connect we actually had running, it said 2.5 hours left on its battery, and it ended up dying not even 2 minutes later. So we had to charge it before we could even get the investigation finished, because we had to start replacing all of the batteries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that. And were you able to, capture any kind of EVPs at this location?
Nick is the one that generally goes over those. I am not sure if he did, but I know on a few of the videos that Steph got, there was an EVP in a couple of them.
Okay, yeah, and that's kind of a painstaking process of going through the EVPs and stuff like that. That takes a lot of time. So I know
Yeah.
that, yeah, that's not something that it's done overnight or over a few days. So yeah, I feel you, Nick. So yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, 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 that's crazy. It's amazing that you know people continue to live in a place like that. So they're still in this place, correct? They haven't moved or gone anywhere. They're still there, right?
They are still there. Um, she constantly says that she doesn't want to be there, that she wants to leave. That, I don't know how many times I've talked to her, and she's like, I'm not going back in the house. It's got her scared, and rightfully so. You know, like I said, I knew when I got close to her, I knew what she was feeling, and I even asked her, I said, are you having really bad anxiety right now? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to, just step away. I got to gather myself here, and I'm going to walk around a little bit. And she was like, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's just
it was
go ahead.
draining.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I mean, because you have all this stuff happening at the same time, and then you yourself being sensitive to all that, and then things are going a mile a minute, and people's emotions and everything up on a 10th level. I can only imagine how painstaking it is and how draining it is mentally and physically. Um, do you find yourself that you have to kind of like disconnect after like an investigation like this for a few days just to kind of like recharge yourself?
Yeah, I stayed home the whole next day, lazy, because I was so drained. It took a lot out of me. Same with Stephanie and Nick. Nick woke up with a bruise on the bottom of his back. Stephanie's got bruises all over her legs, and the woman whose house we investigated just sent pictures that she's bruised up really bad.
So this is
So,
continued. This is continued with her. This is not stopped at all. If anything, it's gotten
no.
worse.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten way worse.
So what's the next step for somebody like this? What do you like recommend? What do you do? I mean, it seems like the problem may be multifaceted, not just one thing. It sounds like there might be a couple different issues here.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is. One is we have to get her emotions and everything under control. Without that, it doesn't matter what we do. It's not going to help when those emotions are still running through that house. So I
Makes
do
sense.
have a couple things that Chris has provided me for the property, since it is more than likely Native American property. There's a couple blessings that I have to go do on the yard itself. Basically, crystals in every room. We've got to get some black salt blessed. So she was working on that as well. And we just basically got to try to seal out this property, really, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the property, and it also sounds like it may be her in a way too, that maybe need to be blessed and kind of cleansed as well.
Mhm. Yeah, we did cleanse her, like I said, and then she had the Catholic priest come in there, and he also blessed the home. And um, I don't remember if he had blessed her or not, but she was going to go get a bunch of holy water and stuff to keep around the house, um, just due to everything that's going on. The black shadows. Um, 3 or 4 people the night of the investigation saw the black shadow with long fingers crawling out of the hallway.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, that's overwhelming to think about because you're not just getting one person that's seeing this; you're getting multiple people that's seeing the same kind of thing, and I'm sure that it's kind of disturbing when you see something like that. I mean, is there anything that you could do at that moment, or I mean, I know you're trying to capture evidence at that moment, but is there anything that you can do at that very moment to kind of like rid them of that moment? You know what I mean? Rid the shadow people, get them away, so that way, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just so crazy to think that there's nothing that you can't do. I mean, I'm sure there's something you can do, right?
I mean, you can try, depending. Obviously, the sage wasn't working for this. Whatever it is very strong. For it to touch me in less than 2-3 seconds, me just be fully drained and feel like I'm going to collapse. It's strong. Um, Really, the best thing, like I told her, she needs to get some holy water. She needs to get, um, you know, something and start, whatever religion she follows. I'm not 100% sure. But whatever religion that is, then she would not need to start, doing her prayer or whatever it is that she needs to do with that holy water, telling it to get out of the house is really at that point all you can do. But you have to believe it in order for it to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Let me ask you, what happens when a person is not religious? Like, if they have something like this happening, and they're not a religious person. Say, for instance, they don't follow the Catholic teachings or anything like that, or they don't believe anything like that in the Bible. Whatever the case may be. What do you like? What happens in an instance like that? I mean, can a person be helped if they don't believe, or are they a lost cause? What happens in that
No,
instance?
absolutely. It doesn't matter what religion, if you're spiritual, pagan, it doesn't matter what you follow. You can always be helped. You don't have to be Catholic or Christian to reach out for help. If that's how a paranormal investigator operates, then they really have no business doing what they do.
Gotcha.
They should be able to help everybody.
Yeah, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. It's something that I thought about because again, I'm not an investigator, so I've never had that instance where I've encountered somebody, who had some kind of something happening, and they're just not that kind of religious kind of person, but they still do have something happening. So I was just very curious about that. Michelle, let me ask you this. I know this is one of many of different places that you guys investigate. What are some of the other places that you guys investigated as of late, and what are you guys planning on doing in the future?
We go to Northern State Mental Hospital. We can't get into the actual hospital portion of it. It's almost impossible. But we do all of the outlying property around it. That's where they started the lobotomies.
Oh, wow.
There was a lot of deaths there. There's one, they were buried within the property. I don't remember the exact number, but they had the milk parlor and stuff where the patients could actually work. So the patients were actually all throughout the property, and that's one place that we always go because we always get evidence there. Always.
So no matter what happens, you always get evidence there.
Always.
Well, it sounds like I have to join you ladies one day on a on a stroll over there. I'd love to see something happen firsthand. So yeah, that's unbelievable. And yeah, I've been following you guys for some time, and you guys always have some type of paranormal evidence that's happening, no matter where you guys go. Everywhere you guys go.
That's because we attract them. They come to us.
It seems like
with
it.
us both being, psychic. They want to talk to us.
Yeah.
They know that we can help if they come to us. And it's funny because with Stephanie and I, sometimes she's like, "Did you hear that?" And I don't hear it, or I'll hear something and she doesn't hear it. And then there's times where we both hear it.
That's crazy.
So it's kind of nice because we feed off of each other, really. We both can get evidence by ourselves, but when we're together, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen some of the photos that you sent me, of you guys investigating graveyards and stuff like that, seeing light anomalies, constantly light anomalies. You guys constantly pick up light anomalies all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Even in the daylight.
I know. I see them firsthand. I mean, I've been seeing it for some time now, and it's crazy. It's amazing the evidence that you ladies are picking up over there. I applaud you ladies and continue to keep doing the awesome work that you're doing. Again, everybody can follow at New Beginnings Paranormal. They're on Facebook and also on Instagram. Michelle's a huge part of that. And YouTube, that's correct. And Michelle's a huge part of that, and you can follow all the evidence that they find there, again, at New Beginnings Paranormal. Listen, Michelle, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it, and we definitely have to have you come back on in the future to talk about some new areas that you guys investigate.
Always, because we have some things that we're going to be planning. Like I said, we're going to plan for Salem. That has to happen.
That's awesome.
And I really want to go to New Orleans. Like, that has to happen.
Yeah, that's a hot spot for me. I've been wanting to go there for some time. That place has been calling my name for many, many years now. So I totally understand what you're talking about. But yeah, let's collaborate. Let's see if we can team up and show some of that footage and investigations when you guys are there in Salem, and I'll be more than happy to facilitate that here through Dark Fringe Radio, and we'll be able to do all that for you guys. So again, I do appreciate you guys or you coming on the podcast, talking about this investigation, and again, we'll have to have you come back on in the future to talk about some other places as well.
Absolutely. And then when you get out this way, you're welcome to join us.
Very good. Very good. Well, Michelle, listen, thank you again for joining with me this week here at Dark Fringe Radio, talking about all the crazy stuff that you and Stephanie and Nick are always finding on your bouts and adventures out there in Washington. And again, I wanted to remind everybody again about the social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. Please follow us there. You can find all our information there on those three fronts. Just look up Dark Fringe Radio. And again, if you wanted to listen to us, it's very simple. All you have to do is go on iTunes, Google Play, or also on SoundCloud. We're always available there. Just look up Dark Fringe Radio. Give us a subscribe, a like, and also leave a comment. So please go ahead and do that. Again, I am Will Martinez. Thank you for joining in on our Dark Fringe Radio. That's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast and our interview with Michelle Williamson at New Beginnings Paranormal. Again, Will Martinez with Dark Fringe Radio. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the night.